Hello everyone and welcome back to Mossy Bottom, or should that be Mossy Bottom meets Top Gear, if Top Gear featured electric bikes that is, which it never would, but still, I'm about to set off on a vehicular challenge of sorts, which I bet you never expected to see on this channel. I've set this challenge for myself for some very important reasons, which I will talk more about in a moment. First, what is the challenge? Well, as you all know, I live with Angela, my partner, and Juno, our daughter, in a remote region here in the southwest of Finland. The nearest food shop is a 47-kilometre round trip going up and down hills on country roads, which takes me about 50 minutes in the car, assuming, that is, that the road is even drivable, which sometimes in the winter it isn't. My daughter also attends Picotti 5 days a week. That's the Finnish preschool or nursery, which is a 32-kilometre round trip in the opposite direction. And that route includes a ferry because we are on an island here. So it takes about an hour by car to get there and back. If I time the ferry correctly, that is, and don't miss it. I do that drive twice a day to drop Juno off and then collect her again 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. We have a second-hand SUV, a Dacia Duster, and I'm currently spending about €12 a day on fuel for that journey. Petrol ain't cheap here in Finland. Now, since November, the roads have been covered in snow and ice, thawing and then refreezing, turning to slush and then ice again one day, with 20 centimetres of fresh snow the next. This is not a city, so they're not ploughed or gritted regularly. In fact, I've never seen these roads gritted. All they do is put sand down. And that makes driving conditions pretty damn tough, both for driver and car. In winter, you don't see many cars around here that aren't four-wheel drive. Which got me thinking, how would a one-wheel drive vehicle fare? This is the Himiway Cobra, the Harley-Davidson of electric bikes, or so I've read. And today I'm going to attempt to ride the same route that I normally drive, a round trip to my daughter's Picotti and back, up and down snow and ice-covered country roads, including 2 ferry journeys and negotiating a bucket load of steep hills, ditches and black ice on the way, because it really is the middle of winter right now. Despite all this beautiful sunshine, this really is rural Finland, and the temperature right now really is minus 14 degrees Celsius. And yes, I know it's much colder in Canada, and you folks like to sunbathe at minus 14. Thanks for all the lovely comments. But for most people, including me, these conditions, despite the sun, are definitely a challenge. Oh, and I'm also going to be pulling a loaded trailer behind the bike. More on that to come. And to make things a bit more spicy, I've never actually ridden this bike before. It's brand new, or in fact any electric bike. And I've somehow got to film all this with one tiny camera, my GoPro, while I'm doing it, because I want to show you all just how breathtaking this area of southwest Finland really is, even in the dead of winter. That is the challenge. Right, it's all down to the GoPro now, folks. Got my sunglasses because it's very bright and the snow reflects light too. Got my winter gloves, which have batteries in to make them extra toasty. And yes, I've even got a woolly hat, 100% wool. So I'm going to put the hat on first to protect my ears. And then I'm going to put this on top of it, which is how I'm going to attempt to film. This is a little head attachment which you attach the camera into. And whether or not it's going to work, I really don't know, but I don't fancy holding this camera while I ride the bike for the first time ever, at least not while I'm trying to figure out the controls, so we're going to make use of this. Unfortunately, I only have one GoPro. It would have been nice to put one on the bike pointing at me and another one pointing forward, but, well, budgetary limitations, I'm afraid, folks. So I'm just going to have to move this one around as I go. Let's see how it looks. The gloves will be the last thing I put on. First I'm going to strap in my trailer. Make sure that's all nice and safe. Bike trailers are really amazing things, and if you get one like this for kids, then you can also use it for shopping, pets, anything else really. Very versatile. Right, turning the gloves on. 65 degrees, please. 64. It's not warm enough. 65, please. There we go. Very nice. So, first things first. Turn on the bike. Now, this is a steep hill, so we're going to start by using the throttle. Oh, wow. Okay. Now I'm going to start pedaling. Increase the pedal assist setting. Holy moly! That's got some... Wow, that's got some power. Oh, that's nice. You definitely still have to pedal. It doesn't do everything for you, but it kind of matches what you put into it. I guess that must be kind of what riding a tandem feels like. I've never tried, but it feels like there's an extra person, and for every turn of the pedal you do, they do one too. So it's half the effort. I have to remind myself as well right now that I'm pulling not just my own body weight, what's that, 80 kilos or something, but another 40 kilos nearly of ballast on the back. All my clothes and everything too. So, how did this idea come about? Well, as you folks know by now, my mantra and mission in life is to be as self-sufficient as I can. I no longer have a regular 9-to-5 job, but I did for over a decade and was pretty miserable doing it. So I decided about 7 years ago to prioritize time as a resource over money. Money is a tool, time is a gift, and one which we can't earn more of or get back when it's gone. So I wanted to spend it doing the things which I personally found most fulfilling. And that meant taking control of the essential processes of life: food, water, shelter, fuel, heat, and even transportation. By becoming more self-sufficient in these processes, I could greatly reduce the need for money and create my own little world at the same time, which I dreamt of doing for decades and succeeded at. In Ireland, over the course of 7 years, I got to about 60% self-sufficient, meaning broadly I needed 60% less money to thrive. And there are so many videos about my life there: growing food, keeping animals, harvesting firewood, renovating buildings, you name it, if anyone wants to delve into them. In Finland, where we live now, I want to match or even increase that percentage. And believe it or not, this bike is part of that strategy. Now, I'm very aware that most people buy electric bikes purely as leisure vehicles to pootle about on in parks and along promenades in the middle of summer, or stick on the back of their camper van. And there's nothing wrong with that. I certainly plan to use this bike to explore the many forest tracks and coastal paths in the archipelago where I now live. But, and it's a big but, leisure is not why I wanted an electric bike. I wanted an electric bike for two main reasons. Firstly, as a backup to my one car should it break down for a short period, or if there are supply issues with fuel, so I can still get to that food shop and back. Secondly, I wanted a way to reduce my weekly fuel cost for the car, which is currently around the €60 mark per week. I figured if I could transport my daughter to Picotti preschool and back by electric bike just 2 days a week, 2 days out of 5, that would be almost €100 a month saved on petrol. And let's face it, if that journey is achievable today, in the coldest month of the year, when it's -14 with black ice and snowdrifts on the road, then there is no excuse for not doing it any other month. I do plan to get solar panels very soon for the house, meaning for a large part of the year, the electricity which this bike uses, which is very little by the way, will be free, hence the saving. But why not just buy an electric car, I hear you cry? Well, this lifestyle and location means we need a car that can pull a trailer. And while there are electric vehicles which are rated to tow, they are just way out of our price range right now. The older electric cars, though more affordable, tend to be city cars, the Nissan Leaf generation, which are not rated to tow, meaning if you do fit a tow bar, which you can, and pull anything, then you void your insurance, and we didn't want to do that. So we're stuck with a petrol car right now because it can tow and is relatively cheap second-hand, until the newer electric SUVs significantly drop in price. So I hatched a plan. I wanted an electric bike. I did my research and contacted the marketing team at Himiway, who are known for making bikes with incredible range. They've been around a long time, in the electric bike market at least, and that's kind of their niche, long-range bikes. I proposed a sponsored video, which this is, and there'll be a segment shortly in which I talk about the techie features of this bike and where you can get one yourself, should you wish to. But I also told them where I live, and that's when things got interesting. It's the middle of winter, I said, and I need a bike that can handle snow and ice on very steep dirt and gravel roads, and off-road too, when riding through the forest. Oh, and it needs to be a workhorse because I also want to pull a trailer full of weight. And it needs to do at least 50 kilometers in those conditions, pulling weight on a single charge, even if the temperature is 10 or 20 degrees below freezing. And a few weeks later, the Himiway Cobra arrived on my doorstep. As I said, I've never owned or even ridden an electric bike before, but I am an experienced cyclist. I've been riding bikes all my life, including commuting on one to work for over a decade, 2 years of which was through the streets of central Paris. And if you can survive that, then you can definitely survive rural Finland. There's just no traffic here at all. I've also pulled a bike trailer extensively behind my regular road bikes, so I do consider myself a pretty confident and experienced rider. Which begs the question, why not just do this journey on a good old push bike? And anyone who does a 30-kilometer plus commute to work, up and down hilly roads pulling 30 kilograms of extra weight, will already know the answer to that question, unless they happen to have legs like Chris Hoy, that is. Basically, I don't want to be bedridden the next day while my poor quadriceps recover, because a ride like that is just so hard on the leg muscles. And that's where I'm hoping the e-bike's electric motor becomes a lifesaver, or at least a leg saver. Okay, GoPro battery number 2. This time I'm going to attach it to a different location on the bike, so you can enjoy my facial expressions as I ride. Lucky people. My hands are toasty warm in these gloves. Genuinely. Let's go. You start with the throttle, which it does itself. You start pedaling. Oh! Having ridden bikes all my life, I'm just so not used to that feeling of a motor kicking in and shoving you along as you get going. It's unreal. You really notice it most when you're setting out. Gosh, this road is terrible. So much ice. So, the sponsored bit. A huge thank you to Himiway for sending me this e-bike. I am very aware what a lucky bugger I am, because I would never have been able to afford this myself. This video is not, however, a review of the Cobra. You'll find many of those out there on YouTube by professional and amateur cyclists alike. But I am going to talk about the features which really make this bike stand out to me. This is definitely not your run-of-the-mill electric bike. It has 4.8-inch wide mountain bike tyres, giving it unparalleled stability on loose ground like mud, gravel, and of course snow with ice underneath it. It has front and rear air suspension, making it a very comfortable ride. It has a 750 watt motor with power to spare, and a 960 watt hour Samsung battery boasting an 80-mile range. That's 128 kilometers in theory, and that phenomenal range really is what Himiway are best known for. It's even in their tagline. It has a top pedal assist speed of about 25 miles per hour. That's 40 kilometers per hour, though you could technically ride faster if you are brave enough. It also boasts a 400-pound payload capacity. That means it can carry up to 181 kilograms in weight, which is probably why Himiway described the Cobra as the ultimate off-road beast or on-road cruiser, as do a great many of those reviews, which I'd encourage you to have a look at independently if you are on the market for an electric bike. This bike was sent to me from Himiway's warehouse in Germany, but they also have websites and distribute from the UK, the US, Canada, France, the Netherlands, and loads of other countries. So unless you live in Antarctica, there's a pretty good chance you could get your hands on one of these. At least if they have them in stock. I know there has been a lot of demand, especially for this particular model. If you would like to find out more about the Himiway Cobra or purchase one yourself, then you will find a link at the top of the description of this video in which you can do just that. Go take a look. Now we're pulling up to the ferry, which I'll try and get a shot of for you. So, back to the challenge. Even though I'm riding to my daughter's preschool and back, I'm not taking her in the trailer today because, well, it's a Sunday for one, and because I'm not crazy enough to do this without first having a trial run. So instead of Juno, I've added 15 kilograms of ballast to the trailer in the form of bags full of stuff, mostly camera gear, which would be Juno plus some bucks or shopping. And the trailer, of course, which we bought here second-hand a few months ago, weighs 19 kilograms. So in total, I'm pulling 34 kilograms in addition to my own body weight. And I should add at this point that I'm recording this narrative prior to setting out on the journey. I genuinely have no idea as I stand here recording this outside my house how the bike or I will fare on this journey. So what you're seeing and what you're hearing may tell two very different stories. I hope not. Across the ferry, and we're off now to the Picotti. Let's see how long and how hard this takes. To the highest pedal assist mode. Whoa, there we go. To higher gear. This is all uphill, this part. Whoa! You really feel the motor most in the highest gear, in the highest pedal assist mode. We're at 27 up this hill, pulling this trailer. I am having to work a bit though. I wouldn't say it's quadricep destroying, but it's harder work than the rest of the journey was. Definitely. No No loss of traction at all though, which is great. And incredibly, I'm still at full battery. That's unreal. Full battery. And if, folks, you doubt what I'm saying about these roads being black ice, just take a look at this. That is just slick ice all the way down the road. Some of you might be wondering why Angela and I send our daughter to preschool at all. She's obviously not school age yet, and even if she was, homeschooling is legal here in Finland, so why not save the entire weekly fuel cost and educate her at home? And the answer, simply, is that having just moved to a new country in which a different language is spoken, I think it's incredibly important that Juno has the opportunity to learn that language from native speakers while she's still incredibly young, and to socialise and make friends at the same time. She only attends for 4 hours a day, so for her, it's an adventure right now. And although I'm an introvert, I don't want to deny my daughter and partner, who's an extrovert, the opportunity to find the same fulfillment in living here that I do. And that means making compromises and concessions. That's not to say, by the way, that I think homeschooling is wrong. I don't. And in my year of volunteering in Canada, I stayed with families that homeschooled, in which I thought they did a phenomenal job. I just think whether it works or doesn't is very much dependent on your situation. The personality of your child too, their social needs and wants, and how much you're able to provide at home. We've already made friends with some of the other parents at the Picotti here, from which we've arranged play dates and trips to the swimming pool, which would have otherwise been difficult without that connection, because being new here, we don't have a social network in Finland yet. So yes, keeping my daughter at home might save me 2 hours driving a day and a wad of cash every year, but some things are worth the time and money, and I think a contented family is definitely one of them. So, I made it to the Picotti, folks. This would normally be a 30-minute drive, including the ferry, which is about 10 minutes. And this ride took me 43 minutes on the bike. Now, admittedly, that's partly because there's no highways around here. It's all country roads which you can't drive on quickly anyway. But I am really pleased for that, and I'm no worse for it, apart from a running nose. Yeah, I feel great. A tiny bit of a cardio workout on the uphill parts, but compared to riding a non-electric bike, I just don't feel tired at all. It's not the same. Anyone who wondered what all that snow on my beard was in the coldest winter video, well, when it's this cold, even though it's not snowing, the moisture in the air literally freezes onto your hair. Angela, my partner's got black hair, and when she's out in these conditions, her hair basically turns white, and it makes her look about 20 years older, which she loves. But for me, it's the beard that gets it. So, time to ride back. Made it to the Picotti in really good time, 43 minutes. I can do 45 back, and that would mean what is normally a 1 hour journey by car has only taken me 50% more, about 90 minutes by bike, which is unbelievable considering the weight that I'm pulling with this thing. Let's see how we go. I've noticed to get the most out of the motor, you really have to match your gear to the conditions. You can't have a poor cadence. You have to keep your cadence or the turn speed of the pedals quite high to keep the motor really working hard. If you drop the cadence because you're in too high a gear, then the motor doesn't give you as much. I don't know if that's true of all electric bikes because I've never ridden an electric bike before today, but I'm learning as I go. Okay folks, I've stopped halfway between the ferry on the way back and my house. I just wanted to take a moment to enjoy the view and show you quite how magical this place is, because I'm not sure if the GoPro is really catching that as I ride around. It's just absolutely breathtaking, this place. Even in the dead of winter, it feels bright and alive and crisp, full of magic. Someone gave me a great tip, and that's when driving on ice and snow, always try and position your tyres on the white part, the part that doesn't look shiny or black, because of course you've got a better grip there. And I think that's just as true on a bike as it is in a car. It's tempting to ride or drive on the tyre marks left by other vehicles, but those tend to be the slick parts which are most dangerous. So I'm trying to stick to the white bits. It's working. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Almost home, folks. So, what have I learnt today? Well, I've learnt that electric bikes are bloody brilliant, and I honestly wish I'd had one a lot sooner. I've been riding all my life, and I love nothing more than getting out in nature, in the fresh air. But this, it just takes all the unpleasantness out of cycling. I'm not sweating at all, my legs aren't burnt out, despite getting a bit of a workout. And that was towing 34 kilograms of weight, which would easily, for us, have been a week's shopping. If it wasn't for the fact that it's getting dark now, I could honestly do that whole ride again, because there is something about that surge of power that is really quite addictive and unexpected, I have to say. The battery coped flawlessly with the minus 14 degree conditions. I was kind of expecting to have problems with that, but there's no evidence of it. It's on 80% charge right now, which is incredible. That's after about 35 kilometers of riding. And if that is accurate, I am a bit skeptical, then it means I could go there and back again twice in a day on a single charge. Incredible. The tyres didn't lose grip once on the road, despite there being real black ice in places. Though I have to admit, I slowed down in those areas and stuck to the snow, and I was very careful with the steering. I kind of have experience of that from regular push bikes. I don't want to pretend that it's not dangerous, because it certainly can be, even on a bike with tyres like this. The motor had power to spare, there's no doubt about it, though you do of course have to keep pedalling, and the harder you pedal, the harder it works. It's kind of like walking an excitable puppy which matches your pace. So it's definitely not just an electric motorbike. What this bike definitely is a cruiser. It's so stable, the suspension and padded seat make it feel like you're riding around on an armchair at times. But personally, I wouldn't use it for downhill mountain biking. It's just that bit too heavy. I think it really is the Harley Davidson of electric bikes, designed for safely commuting long distances or just cruising uphill and down dale wherever you happen to live. Will I be using this e-bike to take my daughter to preschool? Absolutely. I think saving €100 a month on fuel is now a realistic target for us. I might even save that money up and buy another one of these for Angela so we can get out on the forest tracks together. And that is just about it for this video, folks. Thank you again to Himiway for sending me this amazing bike, and thank you to you for watching this video. If you would like to support this channel, then consider joining us on Patreon for extra content and monthly blogs posted by Angela, my partner, revealing all the things which I dare not. Speaking of which, in the next video, get ready to meet the newest four-legged member of our family. I can't wait to make that one. Right now though, time to go buy some helmets. I can see the comments already. What was I thinking?